Let's get started with our first major headline of the day. And it's a big one. Sean O'Malley has been given advice ahead of his highly anticipated rematch with Merab Dvalishvili. That's right, Sean O'Malley is officially getting his chance to avenge his devastating loss to Merab Dvalishvili, and it's all going down at UFC 316. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. Cory Sandhagen, one of the most technical strikers in the bantamweight division, recently stepped forward to offer Sugar Sean some very specific and strategic advice on how to take down the cardio machine that is Merab. Let's rewind for a moment. O'Malley has been booked to face the reigning bantamweight champion on the June 7th card, and this marks the first time he's stepped back into the octagon since that crushing loss at UFC 306 in September. If you remember, that fight wasn't just a loss, it was a dominant performance by Merab Dvalishvili, who won by unanimous decision, effectively bringing an end to O'Malley's title reign. Since then, fans have been wondering, what can Sean do differently this time? How do you beat a guy like Merab who just keeps coming forward like a machine? Well, Cory Sandhagen may have just dropped a clue. In a recent conversation with the legendary Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, Sandhagen was asked what O'Malley would need to change to reclaim the bantamweight title. And his answer, straightforward, bold, and maybe even a little unexpected. I don't think the answer to beating Merab is a ton of footwork and keeping space, Sandhagen said. I think Sean is a lot longer, like Umar tried it and Sean tried it the first time. Move your feet, keep a bunch of distance, and do it that way. That's a way to do it. But when a guy has a massive gas tank, and Merab's gas tank is like a superhero's, I think you've got to just set your space, and when Merab gets close to you, you hit that fool. Now let that sink in. Instead of constantly moving and trying to keep away from Merab, which is the approach many analysts have long believed to be the key, Sandhagen is suggesting a more aggressive strategy. He's basically saying, stand your ground, make Merab pay every time he enters the pocket. That might sound simple, and maybe not the most technical piece of advice, but considering how relentless and tireless Merab is, it could actually be one of the few ways to slow him down and make him think twice about just charging in. This take is already starting to spark debates across the MMA community, because let's be honest, the common belief has always been, to beat Merab, you need to be on your bicycle. Stay mobile, avoid the takedown, and pick your shots. But Sandhagen's saying that's not going to work against a guy with cardio for days. You can't outpace the storm, you have to weather it and strike back. And just when you think things couldn't get spicier, Davison Figueiredo, Sandhagen's opponent this weekend, had a direct and somewhat surprising message from Merab himself. He said, "Hey Merab, good luck on your fight. Knock Sean out, you're the best." Now that raised some eyebrows, because let's be real, if Merab actually knocked out O'Malley in the rematch, that would be absolutely shocking. We're talking jaw-dropping, internet-breaking, legacy-defining stuff. That kind of result would take Merab from a grinding wrestler to a full-blown MMA superstar. And while we're on the subject of UFC 316, the promotion just dropped the official fight poster for the event. It's out now. And as always, fans have mixed reactions. What do you think of the poster? Does it live up to the hype of this massive card? Let us know in the comments below, and stay tuned for more fight updates. Now let's move on to another wild, unexpected, and downright hilarious headline. Jon Jones almost got physical with none other than NBA legend Shaquille O'Neal. Yep, you heard that right. There was a brief but intense moment where Shaq nearly squared up with the UFC heavyweight champion, and it all happened at one of the most high-profile events of the year, the Super Bowl. According to Shaq himself, this wasn't your typical celebrity encounter. There was no handshake, no wave from across the room. Instead, Jon Jones walked up behind Shaq and smacked him hard on the back, with zero warning. Not a playful pat, not a light touch. A full force shot right between the shoulder blades. Shaq was just chilling, minding his business, when suddenly, bam! A heavy-handed slap rocks his back like a linebacker on a mission. In that instant, Shaq tensed up, shifted into fight mode, and was ready to throw hands. I mean, come on. This is a 7'1", 300-pound former pro athlete. You don't just sneak up on a guy like that, but here's where the moment flips. Just as Shaq was about to turn around and possibly lay someone out, he locks eyes with the man behind the hit, and immediately, everything changes. It's not just anyone, it's Jon Bones Jones, widely considered the greatest mixed martial artist of all time and the current UFC heavyweight champion. Shaq instantly switched gears. He said, and I quote, "Let me tell you my Jon Jones story. I'm at the Super Bowl and he hits me so hard on the back. I turn around and I'm like, what the?" Then I see it's Jon and I go, "Oh, hey Jon, how you doing, buddy?" Classic Shaq, right? But he made it very clear, for that one split second, he didn't know it was Jon, and he was absolutely ready for war. The man was about to go full beast mode before he realized it was just Jones being, well, Jon Jones. The guy doesn't exactly greet people with gentle hugs. He's a fighter. That intensity is just built into his DNA. Luckily, it all ended with laughs, handshakes, and mutual respect. No punches thrown, no body slams, just two legends crossing paths in the most unpredictable way possible. But while Jon's Super Bowl surprise is making headlines for its comedy, his professional situation is still very much serious. The ongoing saga between Jon Jones and interim heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall continues to drag on, with no clear answer on when, or even if, the two will ever settle things inside the octagon. Fans have been begging for this fight to happen, especially with all the back and forth online. Many were hoping that International Fight Week would be the perfect stage, but sadly, those rumors are starting to lose steam, which brings us to another fighter who's been making some serious noise in the lightweight division, Arman Tsarukyan. Arman has been steadily rising through the ranks, and while he may not be the most outspoken fighter in the division, his performances inside the octagon have done more than enough to put him in the spotlight. Recently, he sat down for an interview and gave fans an update on the lightweight title picture, his own plans, and how the rest of the division is basically on pause, waiting on Islam Makhachev. At the time of this video's recording, Tsarukyan doesn't have his next MMA fight officially booked, but he's confident that will change very soon. And honestly, it needs to, because even though Arman has remained at the #1 contender spot, the lightweight division still doesn't have a clear next title fight, and fans are starting to get frustrated with the lack of clarity. Let's rewind a bit. Tsarukyan was originally scheduled to face Islam Makhachev earlier this year in January, in what would have been a massive title rematch. But just one day before the fight, disaster struck. Arman suffered a back injury and was forced to withdraw. That unfortunate twist of fate changed the entire outlook of the division. Since then, even though Arman has kept his #1 ranking, he was told that he won't be getting the next title shot. Fast forward to now, and Islam Makhachev still doesn't have an opponent. The UFC hasn't officially announced his next fight, and the situation seems to be hanging in limbo. Arman addressed all of this during a Russian language interview for the Monk 3 channel, and his words shed light on how he's approaching the chaos. "Right now, I'm not in the title shot race because I got injured. My turn passed," Arman admitted. "But if there's a vacant title, I will fight for it. If Islam stays, he will fight someone. Maybe me after I win one more fight. Or if there's no new name, then I'm ready." That statement shows us Arman isn't sulking or playing the blame game. He knows the injury cost him an opportunity, but he's staying focused and ready to jump back in the mix. Right now, a lot hinges on what happens at UFC 315, where Islam's teammate Belal Muhammad is set to face Jack Della Maddalena. The general belief is that if Belal wins, Islam will stay at 155 pounds to support the team dynamic and not get in the way of Belal's possible welterweight title run. However, if Belal loses, Islam might explore a move up to 170 himself. So Tsarukyan, along with the rest of the division, is playing the waiting game. In the meantime, Arman confirmed he will be competing in a grappling super fight on May 2nd in Dubai. He explained that he hasn't grappled competitively in over a year, and this will be a high-profile event with a lot of media coverage. It's not an MMA fight, but it's a chance for him to stay active and keep sharpening his tools. "Right now, I'm preparing for wrestling, not a fight," he explained. "It's gonna be in Dubai. A super fight on May 2nd. There will be a lot of people, media. It's hype. I haven't grappled in a year, so I'll do that first, and then by mid-May, I'll know what my next MMA fight is." Tsarukyan also stated he's hoping to secure a big-name opponent for his return, either Charles Oliveira or Justin Gaethje. Both of those fights would be absolute bangers and keep him right at the top of the contender list. Finally, Arman noted that if Islam defends his belt in June, there's a real possibility he could get that rematch by October. But with UFC 315 happening on May 10th and so many moving parts still in play, we're just gonna have to wait and see how it all unfolds. Who do you want to see Tsarukyan fight next? Let us know in the comments. And now, let's talk about a topic that's really starting to turn heads and spark debate across the MMA world. Is the MMA community starting to lose interest in Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall? For months, and I mean months, fans have been asking the same question over and over again. Will Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall ever fight? The idea of the current heavyweight champion facing off against the interim champ should be a no-brainer, right? That's how the UFC usually works. Unify the belts, give the fans the biggest matchup possible, and settle the debate. But as we head into summer 2025, the reality is we're still waiting, and people are starting to get fed up. Let's rewind a bit. Tom Aspinall claimed the interim UFC heavyweight title in November 2023 with a destructive and lightning-fast knockout of Sergey Pavlovich. It was a performance that left fans in awe and positioned Aspinall as not just a future champion, but potentially the guy to beat Jon Jones. But ever since that night, no unification bout, no next step, just silence. Meanwhile, Jon Jones defeated Stipe Miocic around that same time and then effectively vanished from the cage. After the win, Jones seemed unimpressed by the idea of fighting Aspinall, suggesting that it wasn't a big money fight. He did eventually say he would take the fight, but only if the UFC paid him what he believed he was worth. Now we're in May 2025, and we still have no fight date, no contract signed, and no progress that fans can actually see. Dana White has repeatedly said the fight will happen, but if we're being honest, how many times have we heard that before? Until something is official, fans aren't buying it anymore. Even Chael Sonnen weighed in on the situation recently, and what he said struck a nerve. Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall is a flame that is burning, Chael said, but it's not a flame that's growing. The interest is dropping, and my guess is the fans don't believe it's going to happen. And honestly, he might be right. Back in November, this fight had all the energy of a blockbuster event. It was trending, it was discussed non-stop, and everyone wanted it. Now though, the vibe has changed. Fans are starting to move on, focusing on other divisions, other contenders, and other stories. Need proof? Let's talk about the absurd delay in context. Since Aspinall won the interim belt, Alexander Volkanovski has lost his featherweight title, Ilia Topuria won it, vacated it, and Volkanovski won it back, all in the same time period. That's 3 championship milestones, while Aspinall is still waiting for one single fight to be made. It's insanity, and it's no surprise that fans are starting to feel like this is all just a drawn-out tease with no real resolution coming. So here's the real question. Is the hype fading? Are fans just over it at this point, or are we being strung along for something that the UFC doesn't even plan on delivering? Let's not forget, Tom Aspinall is in his prime, healthy, hungry, and ready to go. Jon Jones, while still dominant, is clearly more selective now, and some fans think he's stalling to avoid what could be the most dangerous matchup of his career. At the end of the day, the UFC has a ticking clock on this one. If they don't act fast, this fight might go from most anticipated of the year to another what could have been in MMA history. So what's your take? Are you still holding out hope for Jones versus Aspinall, or have you moved on to other matchups? Let us know in the comments. And finally, we've got some big news and official confirmation coming straight from the featherweight champ himself, Ilia Topuria. His next fight is locked in, and fans are already buzzing with excitement. Yes, you heard that right. After weeks of speculation and rumors flying around, Topuria has dropped a bombshell that's electrified the MMA world. He is officially set to return to the octagon at UFC 317 on June 28th. This announcement didn't come through a press conference, a UFC promo, or even an Instagram post. Instead, it came in a surprise statement during a Spanish television appearance on Telemadrid. During the broadcast, Topuria addressed the public with a heartfelt message. "I would like to thank the community of Madrid and its president," he said. "I'm very sorry I couldn't be there with you, but I have training ahead of me. I hope to make you all happy again on June 28th. And just like that, the date is set. While Topuria didn't reveal his opponent yet, locking in the event and confirming his fight camp has already fueled the hype like wildfire. Let's take a step back and look at what this could mean. Fans had already started to connect the dots over the past couple of weeks. Topuria had been teasing his return online, posting cryptic clips from training sessions and leaving hints that his camp had already started. Now we know, it wasn't just smoke. It's real. It's happening. But here's where things get even more interesting. interesting, a recent photo started making the rounds on social media, one showing UFC matchmaker Hunter Campbell sitting with none other than Khabib Nurmagomedov. That image raised some serious eyebrows across the MMA community. Why? Because anytime Khabib is involved, you know something big might be brewing. Could this have been a discussion about a super fight? Possibly Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria. Let's not forget, Topuria hasn't fought since defending his featherweight title against Max Holloway, a performance that cemented his place as the king of 145 pounds. But Topuria has made it clear in interviews that he's not done climbing. He's had his sights set on lightweight gold, and with this June 28th date locked in, many fans are wondering, is this the moment he makes the jump? As for Islam Makhachev, the current lightweight champ, his plans remain just as unclear as ever. Some believe he's been waiting to see what unfolds at UFC 315 before making his move. That card could reshape the lightweight division, and maybe even determine whether Islam stays at 155 or moves up himself. But his team recently denied any strategic delay, saying that Islam is ready, just waiting for the right fight. So now we've got a title-hungry Topuria, a mystery opponent, a possible super fight, and a date, June 28th. Whatever happens next, one thing's for sure, UFC 317 just became must-watch TV. So the big question now is, who should Ilia Topuria face? Do we see a blockbuster clash with Islam Makhachev for the lightweight belt? Is it going to be a featherweight defense against a top contender like Brian Ortega or Arnold Allen? Or are the UFC matchmakers cooking up something totally unexpected? The possibilities are endless, but one thing's certain, Ilia Topuria is back, and he's not coming quietly. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Who do you think Topuria should face at UFC 317?